Hi. Hey. Mm, this is gonna be, I think, a pretty short video. I haven't uh, read any more literature on cults, and not really gonna discuss um, specifics about Scientology or explain anything about Scientology today. Um, yeah, kind of in a bad place, and so I don't watch a lot of SPTV. Um, I try to keep up with the latest news and stuff in the SPTV community. Um, but I also try to limit my watch time to an hour at most, and not 7 days a week, not every day, any breaks. And the reason being is um, it can stir up a lot. Sometimes nothing gets stirred up and it's fine, but sometimes something shows up in a video that stirs up, and I'm prone to nightmares. Um, I haven't had a lot of nightmares in the past 3 years since I've been really working through everything. But sometimes they show up, and I have very vivid nightmares. It's not always easy for me to know when I wake up uh, if it was a dream or if it's reality. And the scariest nightmares are being back in the Sea Org. Sorry. Yeah. Or my daughter being in the Sea Org, in the Cadet Org. Yeah, those types of nightmares usually they mess me up a bit. Uh, yeah, so that's something I have to deal with quite often, but or not very often, but it happens, and it's also why I am careful about how much SPTV I watch and stuff. I try to prioritize the latest, what's going on with the protests and what's going on in the SPTV world. Natalie Webster does pretty good recaps. I try to watch those. I also watch Marilyn Coffee Crafts and Cults a lot because it feels like a safe space for me. And I also try to prioritize listening to people's story when any of the channels interview someone where they get to tell their story, because they deserve to be heard. Okay. Okay. It's okay. So, um, when I told my story to Kelly Copter, and she did such a good job listening to me, I felt very seen and honored that somebody would listen to my story. And everybody that watched it when the video came out on YouTube, I felt so thankful to every single one of you that watched it. Okay. Yeah. Gonna put my tea frozen, guys. So yeah, when there's somebody's story comes out, I try to make sure I watch that, because I feel like our stories deserve to be heard. And this weekend, I didn't watch any SPTV. I read someone's story. I read this book this weekend. It's unfortunately right now only in Swedish. Lång väg hem, or Long Way Home, by Mariette Lindsten. And she's a very different story from mine. It's very different, but the organization is the same, and the abuse is the same, and what she's feeling and describing throughout her book is so similar to what I felt growing up in the Krarog and being in the Sea Org. And yeah, and because it's a book and that takes a bit more time, I don't read very fast. So yeah, this has been quite a few hours here, a lot more than my 1 hour a day rule. And I've had nightmares for 2 nights in a row now, so it's kind of thrown me a bit off balance. But I want to say that this is an excellent book, is very well written, and I'm really super proud of Mariette for putting her story out there. She has been active already for years, speaking out in Swedish media and documentaries, and now she's put her story out there, and it's a rough story. She went through a lot, and yeah, it was it was a great read, and it stirred up a lot. So it was great. Maybe not great for my mental health, but I will pick myself up after this as well. And I know that all these stories coming out, that makes us stronger. As survivors, it makes us stronger. I wish I was a writer. I wish I could put words on paper that touch people and move people in the way I've been touched and moved by literature. Books have always been my best friend. And yeah, maybe someday I'll work on that and put my story down. But definitely such a beautiful thank you to Mariette for putting her whole story out there, and the stuff that she went through and the stuff she did, and she, admits to horrible stuff that she did as well, because nobody who could have been in her position in Scientology couldn't have not done horrible stuff also. So definitely kudos for admitting that. Yeah, so that's mostly all I just wanted to say today. Sometimes recovery looks messed up. Sometimes we have to take a step back and deal with mental health issues. And yeah. But for all of you listening and watching out there and seeing our stories and letting us be heard, that's beautiful. Thank you for that. I read a different book series recently. It's Naomi Novik. It's a fantasy series. I read a lot of fantasy. Not a lot of science fiction, but some. Definitely not Hubbard's science fiction, because but yeah, this is a trilogy. I quite liked it. It was quite dark, though I don't usually read dark fantasy. I usually read happier fantasy. But there was a sentence in here that in the second book that I underlined because when I read it, when I was reading this book, I got to that sentence and I had to put the book down, and I was just crying because this sentence kind of encapsulated for me a lot of what being in the Sea Org felt like. And reading Mariette's book, I was reminded of this sentence, so I'm just going to read it really quick and then I'm going to end this video. I could never afford to look past survival, especially not for anything as insanely expensive and useless as happiness. And I don't believe in it anyway. That's how we grew up, guys. Just surviving. All right. I've got my Shiva coffee mug today. Warrior Princess. I'm gonna go to the gym and do a really heavy workout and take a long walk and hopefully reset, get my balance back. Thank you so much for watching, for holding space. Mental health is important. Do what you need to do. Support the protesters, support SPTV or anyone, just listen to anyone speaking out. For fuck's sake, LAPD, go inside the building that had a help sign in the window. Jesus. Shit, sorry. Don't be culty. Have a nice day.